welcome to the Two Robbies Podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie Earl, and here are today's topics. Frustrations boil over for Ange Postecoglou and Tottenham Hotspur after another London derby loss to rivals Chelsea. Liverpool overcome a controversial tackle in the Merseyside derby with a 1-0 win against their bitter rivals that pushes them closer to the title. Anthony Elanga proves he's a one-man wrecking ball against his former club by scoring a stunning goal to give Nottingham Forest a 1-0 win over Man United. And Bukayo Saka makes his long-awaited return from injury and gets straight back amongst the goals by scoring in Arsenal's 2-1 win against Fulham. That's what we have got coming up in today's episode.
All right, Musty, before we dive into the weekend stories, you should know that this summer is your chance to catch the Premier League right here in the United States. Manchester United, Bournemouth, Everton and West Ham take to the pitch across the country. Tickets are available right now at Ticketmaster.com, and we can't wait to see you at those big games. So don't forget Premier League Summer Series, Ticketmaster.com for all your tickets. OK, mate, we're going to start at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea hosting Tottenham. Tottenham don't have a great record away at Stamford Bridge. 1 win in 39 games before today's match. It went true to form. Chelsea, with their sole goal from Enzo Fernandez, was good enough to win the game. Talk to me about how good Chelsea were. Yeah. Talk to me about how good Spurs were.
Well, I think first off, it's good to say that a lot of players return for both of these teams. Yeah. Players, important players that have been out for a long time. So the team lineups on paper looked a lot stronger. Mm-hmm. And maybe there's some that are a little rusty, given they've been, injured for a little while. Yeah. But Chelsea were the better team throughout the game. Their tactical setup and the way that they played gave Spurs a lot more problems than vice versa. Tottenham really, with their way that they tried to play, never really gave Chelsea prolonged issues or problems or getting overloaded or outnumbered at any moments. Chelsea's, manager and Enzo Maresca is a tactical guy. Yeah. And I think that was good today. He made some big decisions. Malo Gusto comes in from right back into midfield, which pushes Enzo Fernandez on. Cole Palmer's there naturally anyway. Mm-hmm. Again, this isn't stuff that we've not said before. Yeah. But Tottenham had moments, and I thought they looked dangerous in some situations. Heung-min Son looked a threat on the left-hand side. But there wasn't really the sustained pressure of putting Chelsea under pressure, pull them around a little bit and thinking they were going to get too much out of it. All that being said, they did have a chance at the end with Heung-min Son. Robert Sanchez makes a good save. From Johnson, but it was Chelsea's day. Yeah. They were better. They were stronger. The plan, you can see what they're trying to do a lot more from the coach. And I thought they played a game like it was a derby, Rob. Yeah. It's a big game between these two. There's a lot of... God, we've seen some history. Yeah,
there's been some drama,
Battle
some
of the Bridge,
fiery,
some big old games. Yeah. And I thought they approached it in exactly the right manner and deserved the win.
Yeah, and I agree. I think the players coming back. Cole Palmer came back, got his first assist, within some time. Enzo Fernandez, I thought, I think Enzo Maresca deserves a lot of credit for Fernandez, because there was a time, Rob, I remember sitting here and we were saying, does he really fit Enzo Fernandez? And where's it, is he a technical player? Sitting as a 6 doesn't really suit him.
And a lot of managers would have persisted with that.
Correct.
And they would have said, you've got to do this.
You've got to stay there. You've got to play that way. But he's allowed him to get a little bit more ahead, like you say, by inverting one of the fullbacks, whether it's Gusto on one side or sometimes Cucurella comes in. He goes into a more advanced position, sometimes as an 8, sometimes as a 10. Yeah. But that's where his profile more suits. He's technically good, he's creative, and he can make little darts into the box.
Which he did today.
He did today and gets his goal. The two players we talked about at half-time, didn't we? Cole Palmer and Enzo Fernandez getting space either side of Bentancur.
I mean, the first 20 minutes of the game, how much space did Cole Palmer get? And we said this before the game. Yeah, that he's allowed to play that little position where he's floating, trying to find these little spaces, and he got it so many times.
And from Spurs' point of view, they didn't really deal with that, Robert. It was interesting just listening to Enzo Maresca just before we come on the podcast. He talked about that high line from Spurs and how initially, remember the first minute of the game, Trevor Chalobah hits a ball over the top to Nicholas Jackson, who runs in behind, and possibly if things had gone better, they'd have been 1-0 up with a minute to go against the two best centre-backs who Spurs have been waiting for, that high line. And I think with Nicholas Jackson into the team, and this was another point in terms of Chelsea, the returning players for Chelsea affected the game much better than the returning players for Tottenham.
interesting, Maresca talked about they've worked on that in training.
Yeah.
Spurs play a high line.
We're going to go there.
Why don't we hit a few long balls over the top? And I mean, that the two centre-backs of Spurs, who we all laud as being really, really good, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't know if that's much rhythm. I don't know if they haven't had many games since then, but it wasn't a great look. From Spurs' point of view, Rob, a few questions being asked. Ange Postecoglou was a little bit spiky with a post-match interview after the game, where he was asked about certain things about the way his team played. Did he think decisions were fair? His relationship with the fans? The media are being the media and asking those poking questions, and he's having to deal with that, and not particularly in a great way. Wasn't a good day for Tottenham. Wasn't a good day for Ange, I didn't think.
Well, when you're where they are on the league table,
14th,
and you've kind of, the story has been, and there's some truth in it, the injuries that they've had. Right? They've had a lot of injuries, but I think falling that far down in the table is still shocking. Yeah. Other teams have had a lot of injuries and didn't fall away as much as that.
Yeah.
So that puts them under pressure. And now those players are coming back. And we'll get to the Europa League.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, Ange, here's another chance for you.
Yeah.
Convince us that, that when the players come back, that we've talked about a lot, he's talked about a lot, that we can find some form again. I mean, this is a difficult game. Chelsea away is difficult. Yeah. So between now and the end of the season, right, I mean, if he doesn't win the Europa League, let's play it that way. No, don't give me that face. Is it recoverable?
Gone.
No. Is it recoverable? If the players, he's got to go on a run of winning. Like, what have they got left?
They've got 8 games left now after today.
If you can win 7 of the 8, and there's a sense that this is good again.
Yeah.
It can turn around.
The league is important, by the way, Rob.
Of course it is.
The league games, those 8 games, and I said it before today's game, 9 very important Premier League games, regardless of what happens in the Europa League, for Ange Postecoglou and Tottenham. He's got to convince the group of fans, he's got to convince his ownership group, he's got to, in some respects, Rob, maybe convince some of the players. Today was the first time, and we were talking, and I said, just didn't feel like Spurs. It looked like, I couldn't quite see where the goals were going to come, how they were going to, the goals were going to come. And I was kind of thinking, I wonder if the players are starting to feel a bit of that themselves, like, what are we doing? What we're doing now?
Remember, we had this conversation, Rob, I think it's quite a few weeks ago now, where I remember sort of saying, you know what? I know all the defensive things with Spurs. With the ball, they've gone a little bit.
Not
this kind of progressive, really
Sonny's having no effect on
he doesn't look happy.
Madison's running around but can't get on the ball where he wants to be. The balance in that midfield is not right. The back 2 are back, but they were still a little bit loose at times today. I thought Nicholas Jackson gave him a tough game. What I would ask, Rob, and at the start of the question I said, what was good for us? Does a good Chelsea always beat a good Spurs? In that regard, I'm trying to say, is it, or can Spurs? Because you said that Chelsea were better and that, but is that because Spurs aren't playing well enough? Are good Spurs good enough?
What, this Spurs?
This Spurs playing well, I think, or a match. I don't think there's much between the two teams.
So what you're saying is the squad that they've got, and the players available, could a different manager find a different I mean, if you go through the excellent goalkeeper, they've got a very good back 4, by the way. When the fullbacks are not gallivanting a lot, which they do.
With a bit more restriction.
That would be strong. They've got some attacking midfield players in Madison. I think Bergwijl's good. They need a very special player in midfield. They need someone with steel.
Defensive midfield player. They've been searching for one for a little while, to be honest.
And Solanke's a scorer. Good enough, Rob?
Not sure. I've got to be honest. Not sure. I talked about it today. For Tottenham Hotspur, is Dominic Solanke going to be proved to be the guy?
Brennan Johnson wasn't selected from the start. No. One of their best scorers of the year.
Question mark. What? I can't understand why that happens.
Let's park that for a second.
Okay.
Kulusevski, just in terms of who is missing.
Injuries coming back, isn't he?
Missing,
Who else?
Richarlison's out. Danso, but he wouldn't get in with these two anyway. So those two, Kulusevski and Richarlison. Now, Wilson Odobert scored in Europa League.
Didn't affect the game today, unfortunately.
And Archie Gray, who's been pretty blimmin' good in different spots, was on the bench and didn't got on.
No,
and Matthias Tell
was on the bench.
Did he? Is he prioritising the Europa League?
I've thought about this
from a London derby, and the game's a week away. Because
I've thought about this, Rob, and if there was no game between that time, I just think with a week of football and a game against Southampton to come at the weekend, I can't see the logic in that. I can't see that you're resting Brennan Johnson from today's game. You're not going to play Brennan Johnson in the Southampton game, and you're going to wait to play on next Thursday.
I don't know.
That doesn't seem right to me, mate. I don't think that can be the reason that Brennan Johnson didn't play.
Archie Gray, is he going to start the Europa League game? I think
as
he's
a
going to start
defensive midfield player.
He has been playing there.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So you're going to
that's his best.
So you're saying he's protecting him? He's leaving him?
Yeah, he didn't play. He didn't play his best team.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm not so sure. I mean, we've seen Maddison sitting on the bench at times, and we're not being sure.
So you're saying he's rotating
anyway. I think there's some rotation going on around the European game.
Let's just cut to the controversial bits.
Yeah.
The goal that was disallowed, Papsar, I know Ange was interviewed afterwards, and we ran it on our air, and he was spiky, and he sort of said, how is it clear and obvious when it takes him 6 minutes to find that? And I agree that the time is crazy amount of time, Rob. That's a crazy amount of time to see that that's a foul. There's obviously the studs in the back of the leg for Caicedo, and you see it in 5 seconds.
See, 6 seconds, never mind 6 minutes.
Yeah, it's
foul.
Does he get the ball? Second replay. Does he get the ball? He doesn't get the ball. Foul. Anything else to see?
Yeah, was it? Yeah.
20 seconds.
Yeah, was it a red card offence?
Yeah, was it a red card? Probably not enough force.
No,
okay, ref, that's it, done. On you go. I don't know how it takes 6. I don't know how it. So he's right in the frustration of how long it took, but he's wrong in saying it wasn't a clear and obvious error, because it was.
And it was a foul. And it was definitely a foul, and we got to the correct decision. Just like they got a bit fortunate when Colwell was offside by inches, and Caicedo scores a goal, and that was disallowed as well.
We ran the interview, and we come back in the studio, and I said to Ahmed, we've seen this before, and we have. Under pressure managers get those tough questions. It's hard.
Yeah, but of course it is.
So
it's emotional.
Where are we at with this movie? I know that the Europa, I feel like, until that comes to an end,
that's a safety net.
He's not going anywhere,
That's the absolute safety net, No, he's not going anywhere. But, Rob, and you say, we've seen the movie, we've had the popcorn, we've sat in the row, and we know how it's going to end if it goes to form.
The only way out of it is a Europa League win.
Europa League win trumps everything.
Yeah.
But beyond the Europa League win, and regardless of this, Rob, what Ange has to be very careful is, and Ange was a bit of a darling of the press when he first came in. Funny, gives headlines, different, speaks.
And football was
and it was great, and it was. We all loved him and continue to love what he can bring to the Premier League. But Rob, if you want to be successful in this league, and I'm telling you now, whether it's he wins the Europa and stays in it, if you start to get at the British press, they'll keep coming for him. They'll find a way and find a time to keep coming for you, mate.
Yeah.
And he's got to be careful. The second point there was reports of respected journalists, Athletic and Times and the people who were reporting that when Bergvall came off and Saar went on, he got booed by the Spurs fans, and there was a chant of "You don't know what you're doing." Which is for those who don't, it's a kind of a common. Yeah, like you're not in charge of thinking like, why are you taking off this good player?
And they'll sing that about their own manager.
Their own manager. So he obviously is a little bit upset that that's happening, and he said it's happened in his career before. And what happens? Perhaps Saar with the incident we talked about, where he fouls Caicedo, shoots and scores the goal, and they think it's a goal. So Ange then is in his technical area. Like cups his ear to his fans. Now he's sort of saying, I can't hear you cheering. We've got a goal, and it's not a great look. And then 6 minutes later, which is a long time, but 6 minutes later the goal's ruled out, and the fans then jeer Ange as if to say, well, what now. However that all works, and Rob, that's another area. You ain't going to win.
You ain't winning that.
You ain't winning, and that can sometimes affect your job, regardless of Europa. If those fans start to turn and feel that this manager is kind of mocking them...
He'll win them back there for Europa, Rob.
He'll win some back. He'll win some back, but let's just say he doesn't win the Europa.
It won't be forgotten.
Let's just say he doesn't win the Europa. Those are the kind of things that aren't going to help him retain the job.
Yeah, we'll see. Just a last line on Chelsea, Rob and Maresca, and the way this is going. By the way, actually, I'm going to chuck in So we know who scored the goal,
Yeah.
Enzo Fernandez, and we know who made the pass, Cole Palmer.
Yeah.
I'm just going to quickly throw in a kind of a late decision, actually. Underappreciated performer, Moises Caicedo.
Okay.
And I know that Palmer gets headlines. I know that Fernandez is flashy and he's a World Cup winner.
Yeah.
Those get the attacking midfield headlines. But Moises Caicedo, and it seems his fee was so high.
Yeah, 146 million.
So
I looked at it today.
it's odd. Maybe it's an odd
British
pick that
record
he's
fee.
underappreciated. But I think he has been a little bit underappreciated.
Yeah,
I think now he's out of his own head. He's playing his football. He's tough. He got that tackle early on. He continued playing.
Yeah.
I thought he had a really big game today in the middle of the park, and he has played well.
good
And
shout.
I think with all this, the Chelsea and all the Maduekes and Jackson and Palmer and everybody else that gets headline, he's kind of quiet under the radar guy.
it's a good
But he's
shout.
really earning his money now. He's living up to his fee. And that's a great signing.
Yeah.
When you get that guy, and you said it, Rob, when we talked about Caicedo earlier on, that's what Tottenham Hotspur need.
Oh.
Tottenham Hotspur need a destroyer.
In modern
a
football,
general,
Rob, you need one of them. You know,
Yeah, you really, really do.
you've got, the Rodri at Man City.
Yeah,
and
Gravenberg's doing it,
yeah,
physical role.
yeah.
Rodri, of course, is the big headline guy on that. I mean, Declan Rice, maybe. They need a commanding central midfield player. Bentancur's okay.
Yeah.
Iperson was okay. but
Yeah, it's a
they
good shout.
love to have him. So
Really
I just
good
thought I'd give him
shout.
a
It's a
late shout for Caicedo.
Everybody talks about the fee. They don't talk about young. And by the way, he's young, Rob. You've got
I know
8
he is,
years.
I
You've
know.
got 8 years of him
And this is the Chelsea
if you
thing.
manage him right, and he is a really important
Are
player.
the fans going to back the manager a little bit? I mean, is this going to be a roller coaster ride with Enzo Maresca? Like when he's winning games, like today was good atmosphere.
Yeah.
Are they going to leave? Are they going to let him get on with it?
I think so. It's his first season. I think if he gets Champions League football, Rob, that's going to be important. Win the Conference League. It's a trophy. It's maybe not the one you want, but it's another trophy. Comes into your football club.
I like
and I think with more development, with one or two players. Interesting area, and it was just want to go back because we made the same note. 2 wide players for Chelsea, Rob. Do we need upgrades in those areas? I mean, Sancho came on. Madueke's out injured at the moment, and he's not
I'm a lot stronger on Neto on one side of Madueke.
Although Neto was
he was a little bit reluctant today. Yeah, he ain't quite seen the best of him at Chelsea.
Yeah,
He had a few good games as a false nine.
We saw at Wolves,
I think he's better than what we're showing right now. Jadon Sancho, Rob, there's a little bit of news about him that if he doesn't, it was an obligation to buy, but there is a get out of the obligation to buy.
Like a loan fee, wouldn't it be?
Has he
not done enough?
Are we seeing, and it's so hard to say it without being a little disrespectful, but is this too high a level, the likes of Man United and Chelsea?
Maybe.
Against some top defenders, he hasn't really shown.
I thought there was a spell today, Rob, and I don't say this lightly, where he kind of was getting close to an opposition player, so he couldn't get the ball. I thought his confidence. I think his confidence has gone a little bit.
It's got to be difficult. That's a hard crowd there.
But he gets one-on-one with a full-back. He sets it up like he's going to run, and then he turns around and passes back.
And a couple of passes go astray, so the fans
go. The fans go. Oh.
And I tell you, 100% players hear it.
Yeah.
And
it affects you.
It
does
nice.
affect you.
You do something, you're trying to play your best, and you're getting booed.
Let's not forget, it's out there that he had some mental health issues when he was at Manchester United, and that takes some time out, some recovery. So, listen, I wish him well, and I hope that he can kick on again and show us the true Jadon Sancho. Just 2 areas I think Chelsea might look to improve maybe in the summer to go to the next stage. Let's move it to a team who continue to get the results. At Anfield, it was a Merseyside derby. Liverpool facing Everton. Liverpool got the job done in the end by a lovely goal from Diogo Jota. Wasn't a classic Liverpool dominating game, but Everton are, tough team to play, in good form, a David Moyes team. Couple of big talking points, Rob. Let's go to the first one, which is 10 minutes into the game. James Tarkowski makes a challenge on Alexis McAllister that got a yellow card on the day and nothing else.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot said about this, and I know there's a couple of guys that think it was just a yellow, but majority think it's a red card. The Pedro Moel, I think Sky Sports
today.
reporting.
Come out today.
They come out and they said that it should have been a red card.
Correct.
And of course it's subjective for people, but I feel strongly about this one because we were around when those were a lot more
common.
prevalent.
That was very common.
And it was a blimmin' dangerous tackle then, and it's still a dangerous tackle now.
Absolutely.
And nowadays, of course, that sort of stuff's been clamped right down. The game is very different now. And I don't want to go on. I don't want to talk too much about it actually, Rob. But it's just when a player sees an opportunity that he's going to get to the ball first, and he knows that he can play it cleanly, and he can follow through and get something on the player. And what he said afterwards in the interview, Tokos, was interesting. He sort of said, sometimes you go into a challenge, you think he's going to come in high as well. And when we used to play, wasn't
that
it?
used to happen.
You used to say,
you have to.
You got to go in high.
Yeah, protect yourself.
But if you looked at it again, I did look at it again today.
I've looked at it 3 times.
McAllister's running after the ball. He ain't going for a tackle. He's just going to see if he can block the pass because he's going to get there first. It was a shocker for me.
I was the same. I was getting more angry the more that he was trying to talk himself out of it in the situation, Rob. Very quickly, I'll just say, as a professional footballer, there's something that becomes inbuilt, and you go up the leagues. Unfortunately, we both played the Premier League, and you pick up the speed of the game that we would, we'd be nowhere near it now, but you pick up the speed of the game. James Tarkowski knew he was getting to the ball before Alexis McAllister, before the challenge was made.
Of course he does.
I saw 3 shots today where I've looked at the things where the ball is out of the frame of the picture when the contact hits the leg. Now, at this stage, you have 2 options. You follow through with your foot, or you take a little bit of the weight off your foot so it's not going to clatter in. And I tell you, used to be a master of that and would catch you without clattering you. Tony Adams, back in the day, would come steaming in, and he'd almost like put his knee in your thigh, like he'd catch you, but he wouldn't follow through. But you get a full force of Tony Adams' body weight, who was a huge man, and that was like the safer version of what Tarkowski did. Tarkowski had an option to follow through or not, and he decided to follow through.
And his legs, the way that they follow through in a high manner, that's just not okay. Natural and normal.
No.
All I would say, and let's wrap this up on this piece. I'm so pleased that Alexis McAllister is okay.
Yeah, it could have been a bad one.
I promise everybody
that could have been a bad one.
We've seen those where his studs are in the ground, and that's a compound fracture. Of that. So thankfully, he's somehow he kind of rode it really well at the end.
Yeah, didn't manager say he plays in Argentina, so he knows how
maybe.
slow centre of gravity, etc., etc. But fortunately he's okay. I thought Tarkowski got away with one there. And the only thing I would say, Rob, sorry, just on finishing this, is it's okay that it's not okay that the referee didn't see it because it's the referee's job that way there.
You're right.
But VAR, my friend, are in there for that very thing. They're the safety net for the safety of players. For them not to even ask the referee to come and have a look at it is incredible. Is incredible.
And it's not often we say that strongly.
No.
Like, because a lot of it's subjective, and you say, you know what, I think it was. I thought that should have been clear and obvious there. But this one, when the safety of players, which is really what the officials really are there for, to ensure the safety of the players, and for not to think that is endangering the safety blows my mind a little bit.
Well,
anyway,
we'll move forward.
But it was a good game, by the way. It was a good game, and Everton on the positive side, tough, and they had opportunities, and they should have gone 1-0 up with better going through. Hits the post. That's a big moment in the game where he goes through. Everton could have taken the lead first half.
Should have done.
I mean, they have come on so impressively with David Moyes. And they gave Liverpool a tough old game.
And it's a good point. I just wanted to, because I was thinking about this watching the game when you were broadcasting yesterday, was that David Moyes, like the appreciation of David Moyes, is always a little bit the football and that. Look at where West Ham are and what they're doing. They're still not as bad. Look at what he's done coming to this football club, and look what he's done to. And I tell you the thing that I liked about him in the last couple of days, where he's raising standards at the football club to say survival for this Everton football is not what we are. We're better than that, and we're bigger than that. And when he left this club, they were best of the rest. They were 6, 7, 8, 9 at worst. That was who Everton were. And it seems to me that he's determined to get them back to that level, Rob.
And it's different. I thought the same thing yesterday. Where with Sean Dyche, it was like...
just surviving. We're 16th. We're good now.
And the financial problems of this and that and deductions and everything else. But David Moyes oozes, this ain't where we should be.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a good point. And I felt that as well in terms of how he's doing things. And they, of course, they're moving into this fantastic new stadium. Yeah, they're going to be a Premier League team next year. That was a big call on the Sean Dyche thing.
Yeah, and fair play. They've got it spot on.
And I'll say this as well about David Moyes. I've been one to question his football in the past, and I've been one to say, could they do better than that?
Yeah,
do the fans want a bit more entertaining football? And I think now that I feel a little bit humbled by Flippin' Heck.
Yeah.
The evidence is there now.
He's a man manager, isn't he?
With these different jobs.
Yeah.
Multiple times at West Ham when
Correct.
others have gone in there and Pellegrini and trying to do his thing and everybody else there. And it hasn't worked out, and he's been there to repair it. He's shown in a different way, not always brilliantly entertaining and flamboyant, but he's obviously a good manager.
Good manager.
And I think, he's got maximum respect now where before I was like, you know.
Exactly.
They're snobbing, the football's snobbing me. There
was a bit of
so I don't mind holding my hands up a little bit. He's done a brilliant job.
Yeah, he has. But Liverpool got the job done, mate. Diogo Jota. I thought you made a really good analysis of the goal, and as I was watching it, I thought there's a great example to any young kid who watches football about being two-footed for the Diogo Jota goal. Because he takes it with his left, he cuts it with his right, he pushes it back onto his left, and he hits it with his right.
And the touches were perfect.
They were
perfect
all
length of the ball.
perfect. It was like you couldn't tell whether he's left-footed or right-footed. It was that good. And that was a quality that he showed. And that's a little bit that, it's not a Salah day. No. Diaz was having his challenges. They weren't dominating midfield as much as where we've seen, the Gravenberch and the Szoboszlai. And this little dude comes up with little...
He stepped up.
Yeah, he comes up with little moments.
He does come up with little moments.
For this team.
His numbers, Rob, before this game was 18 appearances.
Yeah.
He's had his injury issues. 5 goals and 3 assists. Now, but why is he starting the game? He's starting the game because the manager knows that he's a special little talent, and maybe he's the best option as a number 9 right now.
Yeah.
And is from the first moment where he's finding space, he's getting turned, he's sharp as attack. I thought he was excellent in the game. I thought Luis Diaz was another that stepped into this game.
From the left-hand side.
Stepped up.
Yeah, it wasn't
tons of the ball.
It wasn't a Mo day, was it?
It wasn't a Mo Salah day, and there's a few of them. I feel like when it's really, really competitive
People
and
have said
aggressive,
that, haven't they? Yeah.
He's on something on the periphery a little bit. And I'll tell you who deserves a shout-out as well. Maybe it's underappreciated shout-outs. Curtis Jones going at right back. Curtis Jones going in at right back.
Yeah, did
Sneaky
all right, didn't
good
he?
game.
Yeah.
Sneaky good game. I can't remember him playing there before, Rob.
No.
And that's another Arne Slot.
Yeah, like...
I had, so we do a predicted lineup. I had Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa's done it many times because there's 3 right backs that are injured right now.
Yeah.
And I thought, it's going to be Joel Kwanzaa. But it wasn't. It was Curtis Jones popping into midfield a little bit. I just thought the second half of Liverpool was like...
Yeah.
That's why they're going to be champions, because they've got the ability to just turn up a little bit.
And I thought they managed the game well, Rob. They first off, I thought there was a little bit of threat from Everton, and Beto caused a few problems, and he obviously could have well put Everton in. I thought second half it was back to the slot, controlling it, not allowing the opposition too much. Getting the goal, looked like they may go on against them, but they were set. And I think that's what this team have got over a Klopp team. They're a little more set, Rob. They can be a little bit more solid in their formation, in the setup. Like you say, to stick Curtis Jones at right back and not look like he was going to get overexposed.
Yeah. He's made so many good calls throughout the season with subs and with half-time team talks, etc. 12-point lead, Robbie Earle.
Yeah.
8 games left.
Yeah.
The next 3 are Fulham, West Ham and Leicester City.
Yes.
This is going to be the 20th top-flight title for Liverpool Football Club to go level with Manchester United.
Yeah.
And we don't want to go too much into this right now. I guess there's plenty of time to eulogise about Liverpool and winning the title. But have we talked enough about the 20th top-flight title?
No,
the
not
thing
really.
that Man United...
It hasn't been talked about, has it? Generally, I don't think.
I mean, I feel it's a big deal.
Yeah.
We'll get... Gary Neville's going to come into the studio in a couple of weeks. Maybe we'll get his take on it. But it's like... Liverpool, that's the thing they had on Liverpool.
Well, remember when Sir Alex sort of said he's going to knock them off the perch, and he went on that run and he 13 titles, and they did. And then all of a sudden, for I think at the start of the season, the reason why people weren't talking about, because I don't really think anybody thought it was going to happen. And it's kind of caught people by surprise how well he's gone in.
Right from day one, Rob.
Yeah.
Blimmin' day one. Doesn't seem like yesterday.
Yeah.
We had an easy schedule, and we haven't played anybody yet, and then the next challenge, the next challenge, the next challenge.
I've lost 1 game all season.
Yeah,
to Nottingham Forest. 1 game.
Yeah. And maybe, the Champions League, They were two good games, by the way, as PSG. They were really good games. The Carabao Cup final will be a sense of regret.
You'll look back on that one and think, we weren't right. I don't know, he didn't quite turn up for that one.
I think he's talked about maybe I should have rested.
People before, couldn't they? They had a weekend Southampton, didn't they, before the Champions League, and then and he played quite a strong team against. Remember, they were 1-0 down, Smallbone scored, and they ended up getting the result. But
it's good. I enjoyed the game.
Yeah,
it's one of my favourite derbies of all football to watch these two, because there's so much passion, aggression, and energy in the game.
Everton bring what they can in terms of energy and drive and making it difficult, and Liverpool are trying to play their football. And as you say, good game. Are you on the Forest Express?
I am
finally.
on it now. Fully on it.
So you want a ticket now, don't you?
Well,
the tickets are going up because I asked you early and you weren't involved.
And this is
so
a
the
hands
price,
up.
The tickets have doubled.
This is a hands up, and I didn't think they could do it.
Yeah.
And I'm prepared to say now they're going to do it. Fair play.
Yeah, incredible.
I got caught out before Leicester City.
Yeah.
There's no way they can win the title. They're going to drop off at some point. When something goes on at these clubs and you get that euphoria, that sense of something crazy special's happening, it's hard to stop. And Forest are in that groove right now where they ain't getting stopped. No one's going to get in their way of finishing in these spots now. Third place for Nuno Espirito Santo is insane. And the others now are livening up a little bit. Yeah. But they've still got.
They got a
nice
healthy little gap.
Yeah, they've got a healthy little 4-point gap with 8 games left.
Yeah.
And they got 2 more. Well, it's more than that, isn't it? If you go down to 5th.
Yeah, where they could end up, where could be enough to get you in.
Yeah, so 6 points. 6-point gap. So.
Let's just say, and I've put up the boot on the other foot, but they're the only team to beat Liverpool this season. Yeah. The only team in the Premier League is Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
And the style of play that everybody's becoming more common with, that we picked up earlier, is that it's okay to not have the ball all the time. It's okay to have a shape. And then
sorry to interrupt you, mate. Do you think that he looked at that squad?
Yeah.
Because we know he's a little pragmatic.
Yeah.
And he's like, actually...
He's more tactical, Rob, than we give him credit for.
That's why I'm asking the question. Did he see this team and think, oh, you got a couple of quickies, Hudson-Odoi and Elanga. We got a guy up front that benefit from some of those crosses. We got a creative player and we got some steady eddies in midfield, and we got a strong back four and a good goalkeeper. We're kind of set up to counter-attack.
Well, it's a good point because I broadened the question to, we talked about Spurs with a different kind of look. Could Spurs be different? Has he gone to this group and said, what have I got? I've got these boys here, this, there. Now, he didn't play that way at Wolves. He played a little bit more possession. He played 3 at the back, and he played out, and played through. He had Marino and Neto and people in his midfield who were footballers.
He had a good front three, and he was a bit more expensive. Yeah.
He's gone with this group, and he's looked at them, and as you said, he's identified what are their strengths and how they work. And I said something today that stuck with me, where he's also got the players, and we've touched on this before, sort of the players the Elangas who didn't make it at United, the Hudson-Odois, who are desperate for success, who will actually do what the manager says and want to do it to get success. If you had James Maddison in your team at Wolverhampton, at Nottingham Forest, he wouldn't do he wouldn't do some of the things that you want to drop in. We're not going to have the ball. You've got to sit here. You've got to shadow across the line and be difficult to break down. James Maddison would be pulling his hair out.
It's a great point because you got to do that side of it as well.
Correct.
And then sprint forward like Anthony
Gibbs White is an incredible disciple of what Nuno's all about. He's a very talented technical footballer, but enough work back into his own. And my underappreciated, if I didn't go where I'm going, Ryan Yates, my friend.
Yeah. He always
Ryan Yates, the captain.
He doesn't always play, by the way.
Doesn't always play, but when he does, he gives you everything, and he's committed. And
this style, well, you always compare it to Leicester City. With the pace, with the Maddison, with the goal scorer. I always go back to Jose Mourinho's Inter Milan. Wesley Sneijder in midfield. He had a brilliant back line. He had midfield players. Zanetti, I think, was there. Cambiasso in midfield. He had wingers, and Milito, I think, was a goal scorer. It's the same thing. Defend, get it to your number 10, and then get it to your wide players, and your guy in the middle is going to knock the ball in. It's a really effective way of playing, Rob, and maybe are we surprised that maybe others don't try and do the same thing? Leicester win the title on the same of it. They're going to get in the top 4 or 5
certain
on the base
clubs, Rob, have that, and you go to the class thing where that's not the way to play. Oh, we've got to have possession. Russell Martin was prepared to lose his job based on the amount of possession his team had, and they were one of the highest possession teams in the bottom of the table by a distance. Because the modern day football is like everybody wants to be Pep, everybody wants to do it in a certain way. Nuno's strong-minded enough with this group of players to go, that's great for you, but it doesn't work for us.
Are we going to start to see a change? Southampton, huge playmakers.
Yeah.
Leicester, try and play out.
Yeah.
Ipswich, try and play.
Yeah.
Wolves, different now. But is this playing out from the back of this Leicester team is going to go away?
Yeah. Well,
based on what Nottingham Forest have done this
Nottingham
season.
Forest and Leicester back in the day have shown it can be done another way. And you might start to look at coaches who can look at them. Now, Nuno's shown us he can do that, and he can play a bit of football with his Wolves team as well. So you've got to be adaptable, and maybe it's staying up with one way of going, Rob.
And is it a cheaper way of doing it?
Absolutely.
A cheaper way of doing it.
Because you're not
got to get a great football is in all different spots.
And all the spots are going to cost you loads of money.
And if you haven't got a couple of good players, it's going to break down. You're going to concede goals like
you need key people. You need your number 10. You need pace in your wide areas, and you need a centre forward. Yeah. And you got to defend. By the way, they don't have to defend well. Yeah.
That's been the key. The Milenkovic, the centre back, and
Murillo. Yeah,
Aina limped out, didn't he?
Yeah, he's got a cough. They're saying it might just be one game.
It's a great goal, wasn't it, Elanga?
Oh, I mean,
how
everything.
Quick is he? I mean, he's a diamond of a player, isn't he?
I mean, you sometimes question, and I know players go through spells and different things, but like, how is he allowed to leave United when you spend 100 million on Anthony? You've got Jadon Sancho. You've got, people who aren't effective. I mean, just his pace alone, Rob. And the other thing,
but he ain't just pace, is he?
You've just brought me to another good point. As I was watching him, and I thought, where he's very, very different, almost unique, Rob. He's one of the quickest players you'll see, but he's got a real kind of calmness, composure about it. And Adama Traore is a complete opposite. And a lot of fast players are this way, who we've both played with and seen and watched, is everything's quick about them. They run quick, they think they pass quick, they don't slow down. He's got this lovely way of running at like 100 miles an hour and then getting the cross in, getting the shot off, finding the right option on the ball. And
he had to assess the options because he had a really good option on the left.
Yeah, he had a runner outside him.
It was Morgan Gibbs-White.
Correct.
But the defender, at the last second, kind of went to cover him, and he just realised it.
Okay, I've got a left footer.
Yeah, and he calmly swept it away. He's been one of the stars of the season.
Absolutely.
And I'm with you on Morgan Gibbs-White, by the way.
Yeah.
Modern day number 10, scorer, provider, and works his socks off. Well done.
Could we're talking on this, and we'll end the poddy on the sort of midweek that's shown a lot of the bigger teams have got results. With this ownership group, my friend, we know he's a bit greedy, Marinakis, isn't it? But he puts money in, he backs his football club, he's got Edu in as running the whole multi-club thing. There's good people around the thing, they've got good recruitment. Could we see Forest starting to be a regular top 6, top 8 team with the next level of investment?
It's very possible.
Can they be ambitious?
They can be, and I think they will be. I think you're right. I think Marinakis, I think he will try and go again and stay up there.
Yeah.
But my goodness, there's some big clubs there, Rob. And I know it doesn't always mean everything. You can look at Man United and Tottenham where they are right now. But Villa are very much on that trajectory. Newcastle United are on that trajectory. Chelsea are going to get better. And Man City. What is top 8? A regular top 8 would be magnificent, by the way.
Regular top. Because I'm talking about keeping the players they've got, a Gibbs-White, Murillo, Milenkovic.
Some of those
a good age who would go to other clubs for good money. But we keep them and we go again. We get the next level to go in with us. We find another centre forward who's going to maybe come in and be an understudy to Chris Wood for now, get goals. We get a midfield player who might have a little bit more passing range from deep.
Could it be like Leicester City, Rob?
Yeah. What? You think one and down?
Well, I'm not saying one and down.
Yeah,
but
it starts to.
It's amazing, but it's hard to stay up there. maybe there's more money, I think, with Forest. There's more money to invest. But, Leicester City,
But Leicester City lost... they sold, didn't they? Mahrez went. Yeah, so they sold the midfield player.
The best players went. So maybe you're saying they keep hold of the best players.
Keep hold of your best players. Add again, Rob. And I'm not saying be top 4 every season, every year.
Try and stay top 8.
Yeah, European football.
That'd be amazing for Nottingham Forest.
European football. Next step. Yeah. I mean, they've been out of the Premier League a long time.
Yeah. It's a
story. And by the way, I'm going to chuck it out here now. If Nottingham Forest make the Champions League, Manager of the Year,
I'm with
Nuno.
You. Said the same thing.
Manager of the Year.
Yeah. That's insane.
Arne Slot's done an incredible job. Yeah. But at the start of the season, if somebody said Liverpool could win it, I'd go, probably not, but they could. Right, And Nottingham Forest are going to make the Champions League. I say, are you crazy? I mean, I had them going down, mate. So I'm going to hold my hands up. I had them going down. So, Nuno, I'm sorry, my friend.
We're kind of both wrong about him.
I'm sorry, my friend. Keep going. Keep going on that Forest Express. I'm with you.
Right.
Arsenal 2, Fulham 1 at the Emirates. Good day and bad day for Arsenal. The good day is Mourinho scores, Saka comes back, comes on for a few minutes on the pitch, gets his goal again, the star boy's back and everything looks golden ahead of going to Real Madrid. The bad news is Gabriel pulls up, Rob, grabs the back of his leg. We don't want to speculate. We wait till it's come out.
I think it's been confirmed.
It has now been confirmed. Yeah. It's a torn hamstring. He's having the operation that we've...
Some surgery on it, which...
Havertz has had and Saka had, so it's like the third player now.
That's different, mate. There was never hamstring surgery.
This
is a new phenomenon,
It must be new science, new way of doing it, it's a better way of healing, quicker way of making sure it stays together once it's done, less chance of reoccurring. I don't know. Yeah. Massive blow, Rob, ahead of game. You and Timber went down as well with a knee injury. Looks like he's out.
We did continue playing for a long period of time.
Good. Ben White's out. Calafiori's out.
But Calafiori, I think, is close, isn't he?
Well, I saw today they said like 2 or 3 weeks. Could be.
Wow. I mean, how frustrating is it? I mean, of all the things this season, Rob, I think this is the one season of all that injuries are frustrating. Yeah. Obviously, for us, for the fans, for people at home, for the clubs, for the players,
for the managers, it must
be
crazy.
I don't think there's ever been so many injuries, has there?
No. And hamstrings, by the way, is off the chart.
That's a conversation that needs to be added by somebody at some point. The game schedule, the managers will point to, my goodness, the internationals and then this and more European games and everything else.
Club World Cups and things.
Oh, boy. But no, that's such a shame. Good performance from them.
Yeah.
How about Mika Marina, by the way? How about sneaky scoring some goals? Is it 4 and 6 or something? Or 4 and 7
in the Premier League. Yeah.
I mean, he's done a good job as a
lad. He's done all right. He's done emergency, isn't he?
He's emergency centre forward, and he was involved in the Saka.
Yeah.
Martinelli's the other one that deserves a mention on that goal, and in general, had a good game.
Yeah.
And I think when I thought they could win the league this year, I'm picturing Havertz up front every week, and Martinelli scoring goals and Saka scoring goals. Odegaard creating, Declan Rice. That was kind of the idea. I'm sure the manager's idea as well. Of course, lots of injuries have stopped that. But I just think, going into next year, Gabriel Martinelli is one of those that I'm sure Arsenal fans are like, he's really, really good, but is he a champion?
Yeah. He's got to make the next step, hasn't he, now?
Yeah, to be...
the Mahrez type, who was at Leicester, or
Luis Diaz, or
Phil
Saka's hard to be a
Foden, or whatever.
But a real effective, consistent performer.
Yeah.
That's a big
12
point
to 15 goals and assists and that. But good pace. So disappointing in the end for Arsenal. Great 3 points, but huge week next week coming up with the Real Madrid game that they have to have over the 2 matches. Other results, my friend. It was a good day for the big teams. Manchester City 2, Leicester 0. No real surprise on Jack Grealish getting a goal on 7 minutes, and Omar Marmoush getting a strike on 29. We had the Erling Haaland injury in that one, Rob. It was an ankle injury, wasn't it, that he came up?
Yeah. Previous game, wasn't it?
Previous game, he had the ankle injury, which has now been said he's out for
between 5 and 7
weeks, which pretty much is most of the season. So
and
they're going to need Marmoush, aren't they?
They're going to need Marmoush, and they're still right there. I mean, this is what makes this race for the... I know we haven't got much of a race at the top and maybe not at the bottom as well, but the Champions League spot is going to be a fun watch. And City, surely, Rob, have got to find a way to be in it. You think they'll find a way?
Still, haven't they? And
they can win the FA Cup. I see Bernardo Silva. Here's one at you, mate. I looked at the team sheet, right?
Yeah.
I've got it here. When you look at an important game of football to win,
Yeah.
they're all rested up. And I see Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne on the bench, and Kovacic to a bit of a lesser degree. What's going on? This is transitional now, isn't it? Is Pep like,
I think he's starting to think about
not so much Foden. Foden's not part of the past.
But he's starting to think about what's coming next. I think so.
Yeah, when you haven't got Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne
and as your starters.
Yeah, that's
and that's the kind of worry I think for City. I still think they'll be good enough to get a Champions League spot.
Yeah.
I think they have
got
enough
about
money,
aren't they?
Yeah, they're going again. They're
Newsflash.
going again.
They're going to go
massively
big,
going again.
But even so, good win for them. And just a little mention for Jack Grealish, Rob. I heard his interview.
Yeah.
God, it was emotional. I think his brother that died very, very young, 25 years ago, I think to the day.
Yeah.
And he dedicated the goal to his brother, and he said it was just a tough time for the family.
Yeah.
Just a nice moment from Jack Grealish.
Yeah.
I mean, he's such an open, honest, emotional type of player. I thought that was a nice touch from him. And he's had a frustrating season. He said that he should be getting more goals.
And I think, Rob, it's one of those points, and Jack's great at sometimes communicating this, that we're all human beings, by the way.
Oh, yeah,
we all have things that go on in our lives that people don't see when you go on a football pitch. That something's happened with your kids or your parents or your family or something. Things happen all the time.
And there's 25 blokes in the dressing room.
Yeah, and
somebody's going through something.
And 40,000 people when you go out at the weekend don't have a Scooby. You don't have a clue about what's going on.
Yeah, no, and that's such an interesting point. And it does happen a lot. And they are just human beings, these footballers. And tough time for him, but no, fair play. And maybe Jack Grealish, we'll see whether he continues at the club, whether he's one of those that will have a future or not. I don't know, but good win for Man City against Leicester that are pretty sorrow.
Good win for Aston Villa, my friends. 3-0 win against Brighton. Unai Emery shows the value of the January window. Goals come from Rashford, Asensio, Marlon, all bought in the January window. And Villa are at it, my friend.
I just like
they're at it.
I like the story. I like the players. I can't
How about
get
the Rashford turnaround, mate? How about that?
I'm not all in on this Rashford turnaround.
Okay.
I'm not all in.
What you thinking?
He's in a good team. He's now playing in a really good team.
Yeah.
Which helps him. I think he's had moments. He's had assists. He's had a goal and again.
Yeah. He's a couple of goals now. Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing better. Would I buy him? No, I wouldn't.
If you've Aston Villa, you wouldn't buy him?
I still wouldn't. That's just
based
me.
On what?
Based on the years of watching him.
Oh, so you think this is where you can have a little good spell?
Yeah, and he might go quiet again. He's going to demand Rob a huge salary. It's 40 million they're talking about. It's a big financial...
It
is. It's a gamble.
It is, yeah. It is, but... If you can get
we keep saying if.
I know, but you've got to let me ask the question. Unai Emery will believe in his management and in his skills.
So he thinks he can take the if away out.
If he thinks, I'm not saying he will, but if he thinks he can do that, get a player who knows the league, who scores goals, can play in multiple positions, and can work the best deal that they can.
Yeah. Okay.
That doesn't become bad business.
Okay. So if he backs himself...
Correct.
And I know he's been a little bit inconsistent, but what I've seen, and when I spoke to him, I feel like I can
turn the key.
Well, if he does, and he signs for Villa, and he scores 15 goals next season, well done.
Yeah.
And I'm wrong.
But that's a manager. I don't know the manager's thinking that, but I'm saying that's the potential that he brings you. Let's just say a Dominic Solanke or Marcus Rashford. I'm just putting Solanke out there as he's at Spurs, similar. I think I'd take Rashford ahead of Solanke right now, if I had the choice.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I just can't immediately U-turn on Rashford when I've been so frustrated with him for so long, and so inconsistencies, and mental kind of weakness when the team that United really needed him. It stays with me.
Maybe he's not a guy who can be that mentally strong in those teams. Maybe
that's okay
he's one of them.
Don't be on three. It's not his fault he's on.
Yeah.
But you're going to give a huge salary to a guy that's not going to be somebody you can rely on in difficult moments. Again, your point about Emery, if he thinks like, you know what, I've seen this before.
Yeah, and
I can get him to be consistent. every week and perform and to work hard for the team, then again, well done. And that's amazing management if you can do that. Because lots of United tried, Rob. Lots of managers in Man United tried.
Not been able to
fell out with quite a few of them.
Fell out with Jose, fell out with Van Gaal.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
great
the
story,
points
still.
And the Asensio's also good. He looks $1 million, by the way.
Yeah.
Marco Asensio, maybe a
so
little underappreciated.
It's a deep squad now, isn't it, Villa?
It's a deep squad.
It's a deep squad that can go in Champions League and Premier League and kind of hold their own in both.
I do love, really, really love, I really love it.
You love Morgan Rogers, my friend.
Did you see his ball, the left foot from Margaret? Did you see that ball?
Is that because he was at Middlesbrough?
It isn't to do with that. It isn't to do with that.
I'm joking.
I'm joking. The ball with his left foot over the top. I think, and he's consistent. He's a consistent performer every week. He's only 20. He's a young player.
You were in the dressing room with you couldn't have had a different contrast in your superstar Middlesbrough who came up to your Middlesbrough, and then the Robbie Mustos of the world. But your Ravanellis and your Janinios, and I know they worked reasonably hard for the team, but it's a mix, Rob, isn't it? And so Rashford can be my icing possibly.
You want him to be your little luxury player.
Correct.
But you're going to give a bit of leeway to.
A tad of.
Yeah, we're different there, but we'll see.
Yeah.
That's something we'll continue chatting about. And let's wait till the summer.
And then we'll see what happens in the summer. I mean, Unai might be getting the best out of him and say, thanks very much, Marcus, off you go.
Yeah.
And then where does he end up?
Yeah, I don't know. He's got every reason to play well.
Yeah.
We're going on, mate. What else we got? Just a few more games.
Yeah.
Newcastle found a way.
Newcastle, yeah. Isaac again with the goal. Fluke from Tonali that was 70% cross, 30% shot.
So he said, yeah.
Which means it's cross, but he's good enough for me to.
That's a big result, though.
Yeah,
big
result. After the everything that gone, the win, and then the huge celebrations.
Big moment for Newcastle United to win that trophy.
Yeah.
And now they've got a game left, haven't they? So if they win the game in hand, they're up to 4th.
Yeah. It was so Eddie Howe that he said on the Sunday. They won the game. The Monday, he goes home to watch the game again and look at what they did well. The Tuesday, he's looking at how he's working against Brentford. That's how quickly he got back onto it. That's what you said he's all about, and that's why Newcastle are flying high at the moment.
Ipswich Town, they're staying up. Bournemouth 1, Ipswich 2. And this is a Bournemouth team.
Yeah.
They happen to Brighton.
Yeah.
Brentford.
Yeah. Just get there, don't you? And then you just.
Can they get in Fulham as well?
Just looks like they might fall off a little bit.
So it wasn't great from Fulham, but fair play to Ipswich. Still going.
Yeah, still going. Still give themselves a little chance, isn't it? Am I right in saying this weekend?
They got to win like 6 out of 8 or something, haven't they?
All I'm going to say is this weekend at Portman Road is one of the biggest games of the season for Ipswich Town.
What is it? I haven't looked.
Ipswich Town play Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Oh, blimey. Oh, boy.
Let's just say they win that game. And we're down to 6 points.
Two results, yeah.
Then we could.
Yeah.
We could,
wouldn't that be a fun race to
finish it
off? Enjoy? But you're right, I didn't know they play it.
They play.
Where's it at?
At Ipswich. Portman Road.
Wow, what a game that's going to be. Yeah,
that's survival of the fittest.
Last chance saloon for Ipswich Town.
Well, and I want to go to the Wolves West Ham game that I know you were working on. I was actually watching the Man United game.
Yeah.
When this went on. But Wolves get the win. Son Larson with the shot, not well closed down. West Ham having a little bit of still not quite not dropping it into what Graham Potter. It was really poor. Evan Ferguson came on, he took him off at half time. Hasn't quite looked the same player. Not quite sure what's going on there. But I'm going to go my underappreciated performer of the week, and it goes slightly against the Ipswich line that we've just said. Vitor Pereira, my friend, has come into a football club, and with tactical nous, with good man management, and with energy and personality, he's turned things around. And the reason I say that, Rob, because if you look at the bottom of the table, Southampton changed the manager. Nothing. Leicester changed the manager. Nothing. Ipswich didn't, and continue to give themselves a chance. But this guy's gone into a football club and made a difference and brought a spirit and got something about them that they were in relegation problems, bottom 3. There's a 9-point gap. If they go to Ipswich and draw, they're pretty safe.
Yeah.
The only thing that can do is they lose and then they lose their nerve. and have a panic up, we could be in for a race down at the bottom.
Yeah, even still look at the league table, Rob. West Ham United.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a big change there.
No.
And the team above that is the other manager that went in there and made a big impact.
Made a difference.
So changing the manager, my goodness.
It's not. It doesn't guarantee you nothing,
absolutely
does it?
not. But we've got two kind of stunning examples this season.
Yeah.
Wolverhampton Wanderers and Everton Football Club of a new manager going in there with the same group and making a big difference.
And let's remember, he's not had Cunha for a lot of football during this time because of his emotions and getting himself in trouble. But fair play to Vitor Pereira and Wolverhampton.
And isn't it nice, a manager that said before, he almost like dreamt of being a Premier League manager.
Yeah, you can see that, can't you, in the way he acts.
He's loving life.
He does love life. They celebrated that goal like it was...
And the celebrations afterwards.
Yeah.
Did I read he's had 18 club jobs? So he's been around the block, and I just think, why so many? Let's hope this is the stability the Wolverhampton Wanderers need.
Correct, yeah.
And let's hope they don't sell all their best players. That they're probably going to sell Mateus Cunha, I think, in the summer.
Like that might.
And 8 million maybe. It's so difficult at that club to. And they've had this cycle of doing okay, selling players,
been a problem,
struggle, manager, new manager does okay, sell players. Let's hope it changes for Wolverhampton Wanderers. And Pereira's done it's a good shout, mate. He's done a brilliant job.
And we'll finish off St Mary's, Southampton 1, Crystal Palace 1 on what you were the first goal, and then Frankie gets one back later on for Crystal Palace. Palace in a good vein of form and obviously heading towards semi-final in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, what a story that would be for Ole Gladner if they could land a trophy.
It'd be amazing. I mean, he's a good manager, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a good manager.
I see he's linked, isn't
he? RB Leipzig. He was being mentioned. There's no way Steve Parish, I know people are cursed. There's no way he's letting him go.
He's got to sign a new contract now.
Yeah,
he's trying to get him to sign a new contract.
I think they're talking about it now. And they're also losing Dougie Freedman, by the way, their director of football. It's going to be another big
And by the way, what a blimmin' good job he did.
He's done incredible
There's
job.
so many good signings. Crystal Palace, great job.
Yeah,
he's
going
to
Saudi, the Azers and the Wolves.
So many. Elise, so many. So many.
Yeah.
The kid in midfield, really, really good. Southampton, Rob, last point of the podcast. They got a point. They've got 10. They've got 10 points.
They need one more.
They got to beat Derby's 11 points, haven't they? You do not want to be part of the worst Premier League team of all time.
Let me give you 2 words why they
will do it.
Will do it. Let me give you 2 words why they'll do it. Tottenham Hotspur. That's who they play at the weekend. Tottenham Hotspur before the Europa.
Before the Europa. Oh, yeah, he's going to play the kids.
The 3 points there, that'll take to 13. Listen, mate, we're going to wrap it up here in midweek where most of the big boys took care of business in the race at the top of the table and for Champions League spots. We're going to be back at the weekend, that's Sunday, April the 6th, to recap Matchweek 31. And then mull over the Manchester Derby, that's from 11:30 Eastern Time on Peacock. But for now, I'm Earl, he's Musty, together with the 2 Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Be safe, stay healthy. It's a good night from me.
And it's a good night from him.
Good night.